Channel 5 network. This is OpenLine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to OpenLine. Glad you're with us tonight. It is Tuesday, May 5th. We have a live show tonight and hope that you will call in. We're talking about something we talk about often, but if everything now is made new by what we are all going through together. We are talking about elder law, and that is if maybe you're caring for an aging loved one. Things might be even more difficult now than they were even during the most difficult of times before. So we are happy to have with us an attorney from Takacs McGinnis, Chris Johnson. He's been on the show before and, of course, joins us via Zoom from his home. Chris, thank you. Thank you for being with us.
I'm happy to be here.
And all right, so first of all, I want to set the table the way we really always do and then get into some of the unique things that are happening as a result of the time in which we're living. But just define elder law. So you're an elder law attorney. You work there at Takacs McGinnis. What is elder law? Is what?
Elder law is making sure that our elderly loved ones are taken care of by making sure that we have planned for their personal, financial, and legal needs, and we do it over time. And that's a real, that's kind of the strict definition. I often like Tim's definition, one of the partners at our firm, who says, we help you take care of your mom and dad. And that is elder law in a nutshell. That's what we're here to do, is when people are getting scared about these big decisions, they come to us and we're kind of their light in that dark tunnel and help them navigate through what is a very complicated process.
Yeah, it is really complicated. And I like that. We help you take care of mom and dad. And there's so many people that are in that situation. And now especially, it's really difficult. And there are extra challenges. And so how is what's happening impacting what you do and your business?
Well, we joke at the office that what's happening now, there's two prongs in how it affects us. First, our client base is one of the major vulnerable communities, senior citizens, and you've seen in the news, sometimes they say 60 and over. I've seen them say as young as 50 and older are more vulnerable to this virus, and that's a scary thing. So we have lots of extra precautions that we need to take care of. And so we have changed some of the ways we have done things. We don't do in-person meetings right now. We do everything by video teleconference or via phone call. How we execute signings and signing legal documents in this time of Corona has been interesting. And the governor, Governor Lee, put out an executive order number 26, which was signed on April 9th, which allows us to notarize, allows us to witness documents over a video teleconference, which has been fantastic. It was a great decision, a great order, and has made our life easier, much easier. And then in the second prong of all of this is exactly that, is figuring out how are we going to do our job when everything that we do has been made more difficult. And that's the thing we like to joke about, is the simple tasks right now are difficult. Every little thing that you do that you took for granted at your office, whether it's my scanner's right next to me, my printer's here, whether or not it's scheduling a meeting where it used to be easy when a client's right in front of you across the table to go over some issues. Now we're doing everything through the filter of a video teleconference, and it has just made the easy things a little more difficult. And we've had to, kind of be like water and find that path that makes sure that we can keep serving our clients to the best of our ability.
And that's true for everyone, and I'm sure that's impacting you. As we all work from home, there are all of these new challenges that we're facing. And so then, let's say you are in a meeting with a potential client. How does the coronavirus come up? How much does that dominate any conversation now over the last couple of weeks? If the definition is of what you do, taking care of mom and dad, if that's a good definition, how often does concern about the coronavirus impacting mom and dad, how often does it come up?
Well, I think it comes up in every meeting. It's hard not to discuss it. I mean, the medium in which we're talking to our clients is thrust upon us because of this virus. So sometimes it just comes up in a joking, hey, how's everybody doing? Everybody holding up? And then sometimes it's a real serious focus. If I have a parent, a mom or a dad in a skilled nursing facility or assisted living facility, obviously, and rightfully so, they have very strict protocols on who can get in, who can visit, and how. And most of them, it's basically no visitors. And so working through mechanically, how are we going to get documents signed? How are we going to make sure we're conveying all this to them if they aren't as technological savvy as maybe the children are who have reached out to help with these things? And so all of those things need to be taken into account. But I cannot recall, since this has started, having a single first meeting with a potential client where we haven't discussed it in one way, shape, or form.
And that does lead into the concern about nursing homes. And that's been an area that's been really hard hit by the coronavirus. And let's say, that's a concern. That's a tough decision no matter what. And then you add this on top of it. What are you advising clients that may be close to that, or does this just make people say there is no way? How walk us through the concerns that people have and how you're helping them address that?
Well, I think the first thing to do is you never take anything off the table, and a good attorney never says never. You want to make sure that what they're doing is being prudent and methodical, and you're probably looking into whatever facility that you're contemplating possibly moving mom and dad into. You're looking at it a lot more closely. You're scouring the news to see how they've been holding up with this. We certainly look at every article whenever a skilled nursing facility and assisted living facility is in the news related to corona, because it hits home. It's personal for us. We have clients there. And it matters a great deal. And so we want to make sure, and we have elder care coordinators who help our clients do their homework on what's the right facility and which ones are handling this better than others. I know all of them are working as hard as they can, and they have people just out there doing God's work, trying to make sure that our loved ones are taken care of and receiving the care and treatment they need under the most trying of circumstances. And so it's like anything else. You apply a little bit of prudence, you do your due diligence, but you can't stop living. And there are people where life gets a say. Maybe you have to go in a skilled nursing facility, and it's not a question of can we hold off on this. Now it's a question of let's find the best place for this individual.
And like so many of us, we're all trying to get through this, doing the best that we can. And then there's this contemplation of how will this change everything? When we get back to whatever normal is, what will that new normal be like? And so in your line of work, if you look into the future and had to guess, and that's what it is at this point, what will the new normal be like? How will this impact some of the decisions that you will be making and that families will have to be making?
Ben, that's a fantastic question. I think the obvious one and the one that comes to mind first is being prepared and having all of your key stuff in place, because this 2 or 3 months ago would have been unimaginable. I mean, if we could really go back in time and put ourselves, in our January or February 2020 selves and say, do you think we would ever literally shut down the country? I don't think in our wildest dreams we could imagine that we would be where we're at today. And so where we go, what is the future going to hold for us? It's a very interesting question. I think in the short term, I think everyone's preparing with caution. I think people are going to be very methodical. We review those CDC guidelines and the phased reopening, and they have it broken down on 14 days of decreasing cases and then another 14 days. And then it lays out what are the proper steps and what are the appropriate measures at each of these phases. I think that is going to have a larger impact on our near-term lives than we probably ever could have imagined just a few months ago. And then longer term, I think what we're going to look at is how long is this going to be around for? I think the vaccine trials and them getting through all of that process, and are they going to be successful? And I've heard things as early as the end of this year. I've heard kind of it usually takes about an 18-month turnaround. And then every once in a while, you'll see kind of the scary article where, what happens if we don't get a vaccine? And I think a lot of what our future will look like will depend on how does this vaccine process play out. And in the interim, I think just a lot of prudence by everybody, trying to be wise, trying to be methodical, not rushing things, and making sure that we're making the best decisions for ourselves and for our loved ones and our community, those people around us.
Yeah, a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of Zoom interviews. A lot of Zoom,
That's right.
A lot of Zoom in general. Something else we didn't know about 2 months ago. I didn't know about Zoom. All right, so what I want to do is, I want to encourage people to call in. Call in with your questions. This is a good opportunity just to call in with a question that you may have, and we all learn when people call in and kind of share their situation. So this is a great opportunity to do that. We have a couple callers on the line. Let's go to Granger. Hello, Granger.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yes. I'm worried about this blanket liability that they're talking about for nursing homes. Generally, I find the places where they're going to have a lot of deaths are generally places where they have poor practices in and out all the time. And so I just wondered, I'd actually like both of your opinions on whether giving blanket liabilities for nursing homes is a good idea. And I'm 73 and have a 94-year-old mother that this applies very directly to.
So when you say blanket liabilities, what you mean is they're saying you cannot sue a nursing home if they have...
That's what it sounds like. I haven't heard the details, but they're just saying that on a federal level they're thinking about doing that. And I just wondered whether you thought that might be beneficial.
Boy, no, I don't. But I'll let you're our guest, and you're an attorney, and this is your world. I'm fascinated by that question. There is talk about that. I guess take it from there. There's talk about that. It hasn't happened, and your opinion on it is all that right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that all that's right. So they're looking at, and they're not just looking at it for nursing homes. They're looking at it for employers in bringing their employees back to work, and these are very difficult questions. And so what I would tell Granger is, we all have concerns. Whenever you say that you just take away liability across the board, I think every attorney would raise their eyebrows just a little bit. At the same token, you have to have the compete.
Oh, brother, it sounds like the Zoom froze up. And it sounds like what he was saying, Granger, was he has concerns. You were right. This is something that's being discussed. I've covered several of these food processing plants. That's already in place. Those have been designated essential by the president. He signed an executive order last week saying these food processing plants are essential. That means they cannot shut down, even as hundreds of workers there are sick. And so if they don't shut down and workers continue going there, this removes liability. It means that the workers can't sue the owners of these plants as they are kept open. And I talked to several workers that are very concerned about that, several unions that are very concerned about that. This is another thing you're talking about with nursing homes and that kind of thing. It's being discussed. It hasn't been passed yet. But there is concern, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. So you have a 94-year-old mother. I bet you're concerned. 73-year-old yourself. Yeah, this is something we all need to be thinking about, all need to follow, and yet, what do you do? These nursing homes, this is an area that is highly vulnerable. And once it gets into one employee, and we see the asymptomatic spread, this is just a very complicated, difficult issue, and it will be very interesting to see what happens. But when you start talking about blanket removal of liability, that I think concerns a lot of people. would certainly concern lawyers, but I think it would concern a lot of people. Hadn't happened with nursing homes, has happened over these food processing plants. We'll see where it goes. I have another call here, and I sure hope Chris is on Zoom still. We hope Chris is on Zoom. Let's go to Pat. Oh, we're going to take a break. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to reestablish Chris. Pat, hold on the line. Granger, if you want to call back, go ahead. But Pat, hold on the line. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.